Now, Kiramager may be one of the most balanced seasons of Super Sentai in regards to silliness and seriousness, but that wasn't always the case. When Kiramager was first leaked in the form of a trademark, like a Sentai usually is, and it was translated as Mashin Sentai Kiramager, a lot of speculation surrounded the machine part of the name. In Japanese, the word is related to demons, and in English, it sounds a lot like machine. Many of the early rumors built on these ideas and speculated that the Rangers would have vehicle mechas based on demons from Japanese mythology, and the Ranger suits would incorporate magical elements as well. The validity of these rumors, including magic, was improved upon when people started to notice that the Major incorporated mage, and in some cases, as people realized, you could also spell it Kirameiger, and that kind of added to this. But this didn't really last very long, as eventually we got one of my favorite leaks ever, which is this absolute mess of a thing. Honestly, I think calling this a mess is insulting to legitimate messes. It's just, wow, look at it. I don't think anyone really thought the image was real just because of how it is. It was also disproved pretty quickly when our first official looks at Kiramager came in the form of magazine scanned silhouettes. Looking at these now, you can pretty clearly see that the color lineup is the actual Kiramager color lineup behind the respective Rangers. Either that went over everyone's heads at the time, or I don't remember someone pointing it out. After some teases in the magazines, as always, the team is leaked with some classic toy catalog pictures, which, what is that doing back here? No, go away. That didn't happen this year. For the last few years, our full look at a Sentai has come in the form of a leak that goes over the first few waves of toys that will be released. But this year, we didn't get any of that. We were never given a definitive reason for why this happened, but we can assume it's because we're actually not really supposed to see those pictures. I guess after so many years of it happening, the Toei ninjas finally put a stop to those picture leaks. Kiramager would be the first season in years to not have any of these catalog leaks throughout its entire lifetime. Our first official looks at the show came from magazines that are meant for the public. First, we got some cropped first looks at the 5 Ranger helmets before these pictures expanded to our first looks at the Rangers, Changers, weapons, and machine fire. What we now know as Machine Maka was the first machine to be leaked, and it was initially thought to be Kiramei Red's main vehicle. But on Christmas Day, soon after, the official poster of the show was released, and it had Kiramei Red paired with a fire truck, and the sports car was now in green with Kiramei green. There was a bit of speculation that there would be some Tokuger color swap gimmick making a return, but it would now apply to the mecha instead of the Rangers. This would turn out to be false when press conference time finally arrived. We got the reveal of the actors playing the Kiramagers, the reveal of the machine also having voice actors and speaking roles in the show, and a first look trailer which revealed the villains, other characters, the theme song, and a brief tease of Kirameiking. Machine Maka was also finally revealed to be a promotional bonus for the upcoming mini-movie for Kiramager. When the Ryu Soldier vs. Lupin Ranger vs. Paddle Ranger movie released in theaters, it was paired with Kiramager Episode 0 as the first dive into the story of the show, something I don't think Sentai has really done before, so that's pretty cool. It set up the main team, the fall of Crystalia, and created anticipation for the March 8th release date for Mashin Sentai Kiramager to jump straight into the action following the finale of Ryu Soldier. Kiramager's gonna be a short review because it's actually a really simple show. From the designs to the characters, there's not a lot that's really overly complex or part of some large overarching story. If you've seen my other videos, that may sound like a complaint, but in my opinion, that's what has turned Kiramager into one of the most widely regarded seasons of Sentai I've ever seen. Because of the show's simplistic nature, the storytelling elements have this really broad appeal and are able to do not a lot of things things, but like a lot of things at the same time, if that makes sense. I'm gonna jump into all of it in a second. Before I begin, be sure to subscribe to this channel to stay tuned for my upcoming Sentai videos. I'm gonna be reviewing Zenkaiger Episode 1, analyzing Kiramager's potential for a Power Rangers adaptation, and I also have a few things planned for the 45th anniversary in a month, and you don't want to miss it. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. Now, let's start with Kiramager's villains. Crunchula is fine. He only really got interesting towards the end, in my opinion, and that's kind of a good and a bad thing. I really liked how he was reframed as an artist, with the different monsters being his creations and linking that to Juru, the artist. And I'm happy that he was the solution to getting the last teardrop crystal thing. I just think that there could have been a bit more setup and or impact with him and his redemption, so he's my least favorite of the villains, but I don't think he's really terrible. In the middle is kinda sorta Emperor Yodon, depending how you view Emperor Yodon and his other personas. Yodon himself is just a generic big bad boss, but I like that to give him a more intimidating presence without taking away the novelty of this weird behemoth of a suit. He becomes a twist reveal as Yodona's alter ego, and Yodona herself is a twist villain. Lots of twists and turns here. Right out of the gate, she did a great job at raising the stakes because her reveal was so sudden and out of nowhere. She's introduced first as like a love interest for Tamatomo before suddenly she can create a Yodon changer, and she's talking to Crunchula, and next thing you know, she's become the first humanoid general in a while, and she works directly for our main boss of the season. It's such a crazy reveal that it immediately establishes Yodona as a threat before she even fights the other Rangers, and it's a simple but effective idea. Her power-up gimmick for the monsters was really fun as well, since it fit within the spirit of Kiramager. Most of the time, she either just changes the powers of the monsters or changes their appearance ever so slightly. Yodona's setup as an excellent villain is what makes Emperor Yodon a somewhat excellent villain as well. What we're basically doing is transferring all the fear and impact Yodona had on the series to another character, since they're just alternate personas, but since this other character is the big boss of the season, I think it's very important to make sure he's impactful. That could just be me though. The same thing applies to Shadon. Because he's just like, again, an alternate Yodona, he still carries all the gravitas that Yodona did when she was in the show, and he still comes across as an impactful villain, even though he dies within 22 minutes. The Emperor Yodon trio is pretty much just a series of simple twists to create a big impact. You don't expect a Yodona reveal, so when she's revealed as a villain, it's impactful, in turn making her threatening, in turn making Yodon threatening, in turn making Shadon impactful, even if he's just kind of a monster of the week. My personal favorite villain is Garza. He's just a great representation of the simplicity being a good thing. His story is just one of revenge. That's it. But it's kind of badass that he betrays his whole planet, everyone, just despite his older brother, and then he just wears new evil armor for the rest of the season. Making him a traitor is a pretty simple idea, but it elevates everything Garza does. Evil mechas in Sentai are always awesome, but Smug Joki is even cooler because in a way it's kind of like his trophy for already defeating Crystalia and basically achieving his own personal victory. And Smug Joki's a big dinosaur that turns into a Megazord. I mean, dinosaur Megazords are cool, so I'm really glad that it inspires Garza's amazing power-up at the end of the show as well. Like, look how hot this suit is. This is amazing. It's a little sad it goes away so soon. At first, I was initially opposed to his kind of last-minute redemption at the end, especially since episode 4 of the show, they kind of established that he wasn't being mind controlled. So then at the end, to have the whole show be like, I guess he was being mind controlled. Psych, we were just kidding. However, they redeemed him for him to die immediately and just to save Drew and return Smog Joki. So I can't really be mad. On paper, the redemption, I'm still not a big fan of. I just wish we kind of killed Garza the way he was. But since his redemption kind of just served one singular purpose and then he died, kind of okay with it. Garza's really awesome And honestly, all of these villains are pretty cool as well. Yeah, Garza's just out for revenge, Crunchula's just a dude, and Yodona's just Emperor Yodon, really. And especially in terms of the monster designs and kind of the monster personalities, but that's the charm of these villains in my opinion. They're perfectly servable for this story, and they have enough fun moments, great reveals, and story impact that I think they're pretty Yodon. I meant to make a pun here, but Yodon does not work in that context, so I've got nothing. So, negatives in the season. I have to talk about negatives to establish my credibility. I think I learned that in school somewhere, but I can't remember. Anyway, first is the machine. For being talking partner Zords of the Rangers, they have no presence in the season, and that's kind of annoying to me. Now, I'm not expecting them to play an integral role in every episode of the show, but it would have been nice if they at least had like one focus episode with their partner Kiramager. They were integral to a few plots, but the machine episodes kind of did more with Machine Fire, so it made the others feel like an afterthought. I would say Red Ranger focus has evolved. Now we're dealing with Red Ranger mecha focus, and could that continue with Zenkaiser because he's a mecha? We'll see. Juru and Fire have a few great heart-to-heart moments, and it would have been nice to get some variation of that with the other Rangers, but we never do. So the other machine feels super one-note compared to Fire, who actually has a bit of depth as a character, and I guess we're supposed to assume that carries on to the other machine. Honestly, I would have been just fine if we just got more moments like in episode 1, where there's this constant chit-chat between a Ranger and their machine partner. It really made it feel like there was this tangible friendship between them, but even then that just sort of went away. I don't have this problem with the auxiliary machine since they're just auxiliaries. This nitpick is really just for the main 5 stones that are like the super partner machine, but they don't really do anything. My favorite machine overall would be Zabune. For anyone wondering, he just has a cool voice, I guess. And it's kind of cute that he can understand the mute pieces of Express. But my biggest problem in the show overall would really be the Kanima stones. The Kanima stones? Kanima stones. That's what we're going with. That's probably wrong, but oops. Initially, they created a really interesting conflict. Now we had to go looking for these special stones to save Mabushina, in addition to fighting the Yodon every week. As if that wasn't stressful enough, there's just an unknown countdown to the activation of Mabushina's curse, which adds even more weight to the situation. The Kanima stones, I already forget how I'm saying these things. The Kanima stones had a wonderful setup, and with their unique abilities, they were fun as MacGuffins in episodes as well. The first 2 were, at least, since, of course, we only had 2 of them appear before Mabushina's curse kicked in. I actually thought this was pretty awesome, since it now was like a race to find the last 2 Kanima stones before the curse took Mabushina. But then Machine Zabune just cures Mabushina, and the Kanima stones just sort of become purposeless. Their whole setup as the cure for Mabushina's curse gets tossed aside. Literally in like an offhand comment, the characters are just like, oh, I guess we have 2 of these, we could just use them to restore all of Crystalia now, which also seems kind of pointless because Automald exists. What the hell is Automald? There's this whole Crystalian human world out there, but it's used for like 1 episode? I don't know, it's a strange addition. Anyways, the Kanima stones went from this really cool way to facilitate an overarching storyline to save a main character to basically being a throwaway toy gimmick without actually being a cool toy gimmick. When Yodona steals the last Kanima stone, there's no impact at all because the point of the stones is useless now. Oh no, I guess we have to wait a little bit longer to rebuild Crystalia. Whereas when a monster of the week had the second stone, there was a lot more impact because the situation was, oh my god, if we don't get the stone, Mabushina could die at any time. I would have either had Zabune just extend the time limit of the curse and we still need the Kanima stones, or maybe Zabune fails to cure Mabushina and Mabushina actually dies. Oh wait, I forgot Sentai fans hate it when a show actually tries to kill off a character. As it stands with my negatives for Kiramager, the machine are kind of a nitpick, but the Kanima stones are the worst part of the show in my opinion. I don't think we needed like a big overarching storyline, but the fact they tried to introduce one and then it just completely failed is really bad in my opinion. Now, the best part of this show, and the best example of Kiramager's simplicity being an enjoyable element of the show, is the Kiramagers themselves. Let's start with the episode 0 group. They don't really go through any major arcs and are generally the same people from beginning to end, but I think that's all to the benefit of the season. The main 4 are set up as these big celebrity personalities before the show even starts technically in episode 0. We have a genius gamer, a professional surgeon, a lone wolf, and a speed demon. Since the characters are these big personalities right from the get-go, the show doesn't really need to be about like how they come together as a team or something similar. We don't need to spend all of these episodes developing them as characters because the show already makes them feel like complete characters using the celebrity angle. A lot of the best episodes are just about Shigeru and Sayo being the only Kiramagers available, or Tamatomo's escaping a time loop on his own, or Senna's an unofficial member of the Geki Rangers now. They've all got a very straightforward plot, which might make them seem like a bunch of filler episodes, but they don't really feel like filler because of the characters feeling like complete rangers already. They're all episodes of a show trying to have fun with its characters, and because they've made these characters start out with these complete exciting personalities, it really works. Out of these 4, I'd say that Tamatomo's easily my favorite. There's always a strategist character in a team, but I think it was unique that he was yellow and not the actual leader, and a lot of times it felt like he was more the leader than Juru, which is a really cool aspect of the show. My least favorite out of everyone would be Shigeru, but to say he's the bottom character would kind of be doing him a disservice because he's still fantastic. I really enjoyed how he was like the complete opposite of Tamatomo, where he was largely responsible for all this comedic relief in the season with his reactions, and he eventually uses it to impress Hakubu. I like Senna's insane energy as much as Sayo's reserved smarts, to be honest, and their focus episode is just mwah, chef's kiss, one of my favorites in the season. The other 2 Kiramagers are the ones that have some of the most interesting storytelling in my opinion. I think what made Takemichi really cool is that the show utilized his pre-established activity to expand the lore and characterization in the season. These random Kiramei stones that were on Earth, well, we know from Takemichi that Kiramei stones are just kind of scattered around Earth, and we learn about the Kanama stones because of him, even if they don't really amount to much. A similar situation occurs with his brother. His actual name is too long for me to remember and pronounce properly. It's been a year, I know, but I will be referring to him as Pico Taro, the PPAP man.
Apple pen, pineapple pen.
He kind of disappointed me since episode 0 set him up as a silly mentor that still knew how to teach a team, but in the actual show he was just more of a person that was there sometimes. Takemichi's arrival fixed that. I loved the dynamic of Takemichi being an older but younger looking brother for Pico Taro. It made for a lot of fun comedic moments, but it was also just great to see these 2 brothers kind of just care and support each other. Takemichi getting excited about his little bro becoming a ranger, even speculating that he would be Kiramei Gold to complement his silver, was just adorable. And in reverse, Pico Taro making a big mech suit for his older brother was also just really adorable. Despite everything about Takemichi, I'd rank him below Tamatomo in terms of rangers since I just really liked Tamatomo's personality. And here's the ranking of the other 3. I prefer smarts, so Sayo's above Senna. Now, Juru goes straight to the top. Initially, I was just kind of meh with Juru. The Kirameiking felt out of place in a lot of the scenes it was used that would not last long. Juru won me over pretty quickly. I absolutely love how the show uses him as the leader of the team. Usually you see a leader kind of just be the one that tells everyone what to do, but instead they gave that aspect to Tamatomo. So instead they made Juru as the leader in charge of making sure everyone on the team is at their best, and I really love that. Making this unlikely hero the leader because of his core personality traits is really amazing to me. It fits perfectly with him just being a high school student in comparison to literal celebrities. He's going to have a more grounded and easygoing personality, and being able to stand on the same level as these professionals and even teach them something is awesome to see. If Tomatomo was the leader of the Kiramagers, none of my opinions would really change. Juru is still a fantastic character, and I love seeing his growth from this meek high school student to a confident teacher of the Kiramagers. But making that growth, his uniqueness, the reason he's the leader, and seeing him acknowledge that is what made him a billion times better in my opinion. The same thing applies to the Kirameiking. He's responsible for so much of the gear in the season, but I love that it's not from him really learning to become a leader or more powerful or whatever. It all comes from him just embracing parts of himself that are already there. I really love Juru's story of becoming the leader of this show by acknowledging his inner qualities and seeing that they can be good, and he doesn't need to be as famous or popular or rich as these other Kiramagers. Juru is my favorite Red Ranger now. Juru is amazing and by far my favorite part of this season. I really love him in this season. But all the Kiramagers are just fantastic as well. The simplicity allows for the season as a whole to just kind of focus on them fighting monsters in fun and unique ways, and this is the core of the season in my opinion. If you didn't hear me the first million times I said it, Kiramagers a very simplistic season, but that is what makes it a strong season. The villains are simplistic. They're either trying to turn people into cats or play bowling with them. The heroes are also simplistic and don't go through many character developments or arcs, but the result is a bunch of episodes that are filled with so much life and energy. An episode about a monster who gives out quizzes is filled with amazing character interactions regarding Sayo going on a date before it takes a turn to becoming a two-parter with one of the most amazing fight sequences I've seen in tokusatsu. An episode might not even have a monster of the week, just to focus on this really psychological impact of someone's personality getting split apart, which is usually a comedic plot. By making these villains simplistic, the episodes aren't really about stopping these villains' amazing, evil, dastardly plan, and by making these rangers simplistic, it's not really about something really drawn out like that. It's just about Juru understands that Senna needs to run her track race, and she'll show up later. It's just really amazing in my opinion. Kirameiking in my opinion. How did I not make that joke already? Kiramager just really knows how to balance its villains, heroes, plot, everything to create a series of consistently fantastic episodes that just focus on its fun cast of characters but still give a bit of uniqueness in each episode. I enjoyed Kyuranger and Ryu Soldier before it to the point where Ryu Soldier is currently my favorite season of Sentai. But Kiramager is the season where I think I really fell in love with the episodic nature of Super Sentai and saw just how fun it could be. Kiramager is a very close second for me in terms of my Sentai rankings. I really enjoyed this season. All of the main cast was amazing as well. Hopefully a Ryu Soldier Kiramager crossover will happen. Be sure to let me know in the comment section what you thought of Mashin Sentai Kiramager, and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on my upcoming Super Sentai videos, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you for watching.